One of the kind of neat things was memorizing passages before class. That's fun because then you kind of get to work on a passage and it starts becoming more clear and you kind of start understanding it more because you get to memorize it. And so those are kind of quick little neat ways to look more in depth at what Shakespeare's doing, and you can kind of get to slow down and really go, what is he saying here? Because a lot of Shakespeare can be very dense. Sometimes it can be convoluted and it can be very complex language, so it could be difficult to really kind of catch the really profound ideas that he's working with and the really neat ways that he's using words to talk about complex things. And he just does really beautiful things, and it's really fun to just slow down and look at those. And that's a way that you can really interact with the language. But then also just the discussions in class. And the discussions in Shakespeare were really fun because I don't think you get to take a lot of Shakespeare classes where you really get to grapple with content. A lot of Shakespeare classes I think tend to be more working with the poetry and like how is he doing this with the English language and what is he doing with the poetry and how is that informing what's being said in this passage. And so it's a lot more focused on the English aspect of it. And what was really fun about being able to do Shakespeare in GBT is you get to grapple with content. So like in Measure for Measure, really kind of working through the ideas that Shakespeare's trying to convey through his characters and the really difficult decisions that the characters have to make. And so you get a real profound appreciation for the rich themes that he's developing and the way that he's creating real characters and kind of real situations that, I mean, in a lot of ways sometimes they don't feel authentic, but at the same time he's creating real characters that are in real situations and really dealing with difficult things. And so you could kind of really get into how the characters are interacting and the ideas that they're working with. So that was, I think, something neat about the discussions that I think is unique to the way that we look at Shakespeare in GBT. One of the fun things is to be able to see the plays. And sometimes in the past we've gone to Balboa Park and we've seen the plays there with GBT, and that's really fun to be able to kind of talk about the plays and then go and see them done really well. And then also to see productions, like film versions of the plays, and just see the different interpretations, because often someone will have one read of the book and someone else will have a different read, and there's different ways of reading it, and so it's fun to see the different interpretations and realize, oh, maybe my read isn't the only way of seeing this. So that's also fun, getting to watch the movies. When I read Shakespeare with Mr. Hendricks, that was when theater and drama came to life for me for the first time, and when I actually started reading the poetry and reading his lines out loud, because we were assigned parts. So maybe I would be Isabella in Measure for Measure, or a servant who might not always say very nice things, but you get to feel the rhythm of the words and see how it connects. And when I first started reading, it didn't make sense to me at all, and the language was difficult. But then you start getting in the rhythm and you start seeing how many wonderful things he can pull out with his language. He's such a master of the English language, and we're still reading Shakespeare, we're still putting on Shakespeare plays. So many of the authors that we read in GBT, they want to give you a proposition. This is the way the world works. They want to tell you intellectually all of these things line up. And if you understand this, then you understand this, and it will all work out so neatly. And that's kind of the way philosophy works a lot of times. But in Shakespeare, all of that's kind of shaken up, and you see people with philosophical ideals. Hamlet is one. And then you see how that plays out in their lives, and it's just chaos oftentimes. Things are not simple. If anything, Shakespeare shows you how complex and how confusing life can be, because you come with the characters and he shows you so many different perspectives. You don't know who's right and who's wrong and what's up and what's down. And so you get a little picture of how complex life is. But then he also manages to bring meaning to it as well. He'll leave you with meaning. He'll leave you with things that are beautiful, things that you can take away from and learn from, even when it's not easy, when it's not clear-cut. And that's rarely how life is. It's not simple. It's not always philosophical. Oftentimes it's irrational. It's violent, and that's something you see